Right now, inside your body, there is this massive highway system of arteries, veins, and capillaries.
Yeah, it's something like 60,000 miles long, which is just wild to think about.
60,000 miles. I mean, keeping the fluid pressure inside those miles of tiny pipes from bursting or clogging, it's arguably one of the most complex jobs your body has to do every single day.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you're someone who's trying to proactively manage that pressure, just walking down the supplement aisle can feel like navigating a minefield.
Yeah, you just see these walls of bottles, right? And they're all
Mhm.
screaming in these bold fonts that they're, miracle workers.
Exactly. But what if the secret to maintaining that cardiovascular pressure isn't some modern chemical, but a berry that was prescribed by monks back in the 12th century?
I mean, it sounds like the premise for a historical fiction novel or something.
Right.
But this is the actual reality of the cardiovascular supplement market right now. We're sort of watching these ancient botanical traditions collide head on with modern clinical trials.
Which is fascinating, but also really confusing for the consumer.
It is because that intersection is heavily polluted by slick marketing, hidden proprietary blends, and promises that, frankly, manipulate the very real anxiety people have about their heart health.
Yeah, and separating the verifiable science from a highly optimized sales pitch, it takes a ton of digging,
It really does.
which is why we are pulling out the shovels today. We're doing a deep dive into a comprehensive, newly updated 2026 review from a publication called Biopreneur.
Yeah, authored by Amy Richards.
Right. And she takes an absolute microscope to this highly discussed blood pressure supplement called Cardio Shield. It's manufactured by a US-based company called Apollo Research.
And this particular formula has generated a massive amount of noise recently.
Oh, totally.
It's triggered this flood of user feedback and, inevitably a lot of intense debate within both the traditional medical community and the holistic health space.
So our mission for this deep dive is to basically strip away all that marketing hype. We want to look really closely at the actual botanical ingredients here.
Try to figure out if this product is a legitimate cardiovascular tool or just, another bottle of expensive placebo aimed right at your wallet.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just a basic consumer product review. We're going to explore how human biology actually responds to these plants on a cellular level.
But before we even look at the biochemical reactions happening inside the capsule, we first have to establish what this supplement is actually engineered to do.
Right. We need to set the baseline.
Because more importantly, we need to talk about who should even be considering it in the first place. Context in cardiovascular health is literally the difference between an effective intervention and a dangerous mistake.
So let's get into that. According to the source material, Cardio Shield is a dietary supplement. You take 2 vegan capsules a day.
Yep, 2 a day.
And it says it's manufactured in an FDA-registered, GMP-certified facility in the USA. Now, I see FDA registered on a lot of bottles. Does that mean the FDA has actually approved this to treat blood pressure?
No, and that is a really common misconception. The FDA does not approve dietary supplements for the treatment of any disease.
Okay, so what does that label actually mean then?
What FDA registered and GMP certified, which stands for Good Manufacturing Practices, what that actually means is that the facility itself is highly regulated.
Gotcha. So it's about the factory, not the pill itself.
Exactly. It means there are strict protocols for hygiene, ingredient testing, quality control. Basically, you're guaranteed that the capsule doesn't contain heavy metals or mold, and that the dosages on the label actually match what's in the pill.
Right, so you aren't just buying something mixed up in a completely unregulated warehouse somewhere.
Precisely. It's about manufacturing safety, not a medical endorsement.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, the most critical detail Amy Richards points out in her review is the target demographic.
Yes, who this is actually for.
Right. Cardio Shield is strictly a support tool for people dealing with pre-hypertension or stage 1 hypertension.
So we're talking about a systolic blood pressure reading, that's the top number on your monitor, sitting somewhere between 120 and 159.
Or for people who are just trying to be proactive because they have a family history of heart issues.
Yeah, but the reviewer draws a very hard line regarding who this is definitely not for.
And this is super important.
It is. If your blood pressure is consistently hitting severe hypertension levels, meaning a systolic of 160 or higher, or a diastolic, the bottom number of 100 or higher, you have crossed a threshold.
At that point, a botanical supplement is just completely insufficient.
Exactly. It's also explicitly contraindicated for pregnant or nursing women and anyone under 18. simply because these herbal interactions haven't been safety tested for fetal development or growing bodies.
I always look at blood pressure management sort of like home plumbing maintenance.
Okay, I like that. Let's hear it.
Like if your pipes are just a little creaky or they're draining a bit slow because of some minor buildup, you might pour down a natural preventative enzyme cleanser just to keep things flowing smoothly. But if a pipe has literally burst and is actively flooding your basement, you don't reach for the gentle enzyme cleaner. You call a plumber immediately.
You're not messing around with enzymes at that point.
Right. Or in this case, you go straight to a doctor. So what does this all mean for the everyday listener who might just be seeing their numbers start to creep up a little bit?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, one of the most dangerous trends in the wellness space right now is consumers trying to use dietary supplements as acute emergency interventions.
Oh, yeah, treating a vitamin like it's a prescription drug.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Supplements simply do not have the immediate, forceful mechanism of action that a pharmaceutical drug does. CardioShield's value lies entirely in its role as a complementary proactive approach.
So it's for those borderline numbers.
Right, it's meant to work alongside a healthy diet and exercise. It cannot, and really should not, replace prescription medications like lisinopril if your physician says you need them.
Okay, so we know who this is for. It's for the person with the creaky pipes, the borderline numbers, who wants to intervene before the basement floods.
Yep, perfectly said.
So with that baseline established, let's actually open up this capsule and look at the ingredients. Do these botanicals actually have the clinical muscle to support those numbers?
You know, the formulation strategy here is actually pretty sophisticated. The absolute star of the formula, that takes up the largest footprint at 500 milligrams, is hawthorn berry.
Now, this goes back to my intro about the 12th century monks, right?
It does, yeah.
The source mentions hawthorn has these European roots dating back hundreds of years for treating heart complaints. But I'll be honest, I always get a little skeptical when things are marketed as ancient wisdom.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because ancient wisdom also included, like, bloodletting with leeches.
Exactly. So how did this medieval berry hold up when they put it through modern scientific scrutiny?
It holds up remarkably well, actually. The monks were observing symptom relief for things like angina, but they obviously didn't know the mechanisms.
But modern science does.
Right. The source highlights a pivotal 2002 randomized placebo-controlled trial. They gave mildly hypertensive adults 500 milligrams of hawthorn extract daily.
Okay, and what happened?
Over the course of the study, that group saw an 11.6-point drop in their systolic blood pressure.
Wow, 11.6 points.
Yeah, and the placebo group only saw a marginal 4-point drop. And it's not just one isolated study either. Amy Richards points to a massive 2025 meta-analysis that conclusively confirms hawthorn's ability to lower blood pressure across multiple demographics.
The detail that really caught my eye there is the dosage.
Yes.
The clinical trial used 500 milligrams, and CardioShield uses exactly 500 milligrams. Because I know a lot of supplement brands will read a study like that and then just throw like 10 milligrams of hawthorn in their pill just so they can legally print it on the label.
Oh, it's called fairy dusting, and it absolutely plagues the supplement industry.
Cherry dusting, yeah.
Matching the actual clinical dose is a really strong indicator of a serious formulation. But hawthorn is just the foundation here. The formula builds on that with olive leaf extract and hibiscus flower.
Okay, let's talk about those.
So olive leaf contains a highly active compound called oleuropein, and oleuropein acts as a natural ACE inhibitor inside the body.
Wait, ACE inhibitors? That is literally a major class of prescription blood pressure medications. Are you saying a leaf from an olive tree does the exact same thing?
Well, it uses a similar biological pathway, yeah, though obviously at a much milder intensity than a synthesized pharmaceutical.
Okay, that makes sense.
ACE stands for angiotensin-converting enzyme. Basically, this enzyme causes your blood vessels to constrict, which drives your pressure up.
So the oleuropein stops that.
Exactly. It naturally inhibits that enzyme, which promotes arterial flexibility. And then you add the hibiscus, which is incredibly rich in anthocyanins.
Those are the antioxidant compounds that make blueberries and blackberries so vibrant, right?
Yep, the exact same ones. And a 2010 clinical trial demonstrated that daily hibiscus consumption led to statistically significant systolic reductions in adults with mild hypertension.
Okay, but let me jump to the garlic extract, because this is where I actually have a bit of a bone to pick with the formulation.
Oh, let's hear it.
So garlic is famous for heart health because of a compound called allicin, right?
Correct.
And the review cites a meta-analysis showing that aged garlic extract can lower systolic blood pressure by an average of 8.4
It's
points.
very effective.
Right. But the source explicitly states that the clinical trials used 600 to 1200 milligrams of garlic. But CardioShield only has 200 milligrams.
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
I mean, I thought we just praised them for not fairy dusting, but aren't they drastically shortchanging the listener here?
Well, what's fascinating here is the pharmacological concept of synergistic formulation. Yeah. If you were taking a standalone garlic supplement and you were relying entirely on the allicin to do all the heavy lifting, you would absolutely require that massive 600 to 1200 milligram dose.
Okay.
But CardioShield isn't a standalone garlic pill. That 200 milligrams of garlic is acting as part of an ensemble cast.
So you're saying the hawthorn and the olive leaf kind of take the pressure off the garlic, so to speak.
Exactly. They're all acting on overlapping physiological pathways. If you dumped a massive dose of garlic on top of a clinical dose of hawthorn and olive leaf, you could actually risk pushing blood pressure down way too rapidly.
Oh, which could cause like dizziness or hypertension.
Exactly. The dosage is carefully calibrated to be a team player. It amplifies the other ingredients without overpowering the system. And honestly, to Apollo Research's credit, the source strongly praises their label transparency.
Right, there are no hidden proprietary blends.
No, you know the exact dose of every single herb you're ingesting.
That's refreshing. But, knowing the names and amounts is great, but I really want to understand the physical mechanics here.
The how?
Yeah, exactly. When a listener actually swallows these capsules, what is physically happening to the plumbing and the pump? How do these plants alter a 60,000-mile highway of blood vessels?
So the review breaks the physiological action down into three primary mechanisms. And the first one, which is arguably the most critical, is vasodilation.
So that's the actual widening of the pipes.
Yes, ingredients like the hawthorn, the hibiscus, and the allicin in the garlic, they stimulate the inner lining of your blood vessels to produce a gas called nitric oxide.
Okay, nitric oxide.
And nitric oxide acts as a signaling molecule. It literally tells the smooth muscle tissue wrapped around your blood vessels to relax.
And when that muscle relaxes,
The vessel dilates, the physical diameter expands, and the blood just flows with less resistance. So the pressure forcefully pushing against your arterial walls naturally drops.
okay, that makes perfect sense for the widening part. But mechanism number 2 in the source is fighting oxidative stress.
Yes, using green tea extract.
Right, specifically a compound called EGCG alongside vitamin C. But how does an antioxidant actually lower blood pressure? Because I hear antioxidant and I just immediately think of like anti-aging face creams,
It's a common association, but to understand this, you have to look at the endothelium.
which is what?
That is the ultra-thin, delicate inner lining of your blood vessels. Think of it kind of like the non-stick Teflon coating on a brand new frying pan.
Okay, I'm visualizing the pan.
Now, free radicals, which are these unstable molecules created by stress, pollution, bad diet, they act like metal forks, just scraping away at that Teflon.
Oh, I hate that sound. And once that lining is scratched up and damaged, the vessel becomes stiff, right?
Exactly the problem.
Yeah.
A stiff, damaged artery cannot dilate properly no matter how much nitric oxide you throw at it.
So the antioxidants fix the scratches.
Pretty much. The EGCG from the green tea and the vitamin C, they act as chemical shields.
Yep.
They neutralize those free radicals before they can damage the endothelium, so it preserves the flexibility of the vessel walls.
Okay, I'm tracking. And then the third mechanism attacks the volume of the blood itself,
Right.
right? Through fluid balance.
The formula uses three traditional herbal diuretics,
Yeah.
buchu, uva ursi, and juniper berry.
Because if you have too much fluid and sodium in the blood, it's like overinflating a balloon. The pressure spikes.
Exactly.
So these herbs basically tell your kidneys to open the valves and gently flush out the excess water and sodium through your urine.
That's exactly how it works.
It really does feel like managing city traffic during rush hour.
Ooh, I like this analogy. Let's see it.
Okay, so vasodilation is like taking a congested 2-lane road and widening it into a massive 4-lane highway.
Perfect.
The antioxidants, the green tea and vitamin C, they're the road crews out there filling the potholes and fixing the asphalt so the traffic glides smoothly.
Yeah.
And then the natural diuretics are the city's drainage system, basically clearing out the flooded side streets so the whole municipal grid can just operate efficiently.
That is a brilliant way to visualize how these three mechanisms rely on each other. I mean, you can widen the highway all you want, but if it's full of potholes and totally flooded with water, traffic is still going to stop.
Exactly. But looking at this ingredient list, there's another part of the delivery system I want to ask about.
Okay, what is it?
I see bioperine, which the review says is a patented black pepper extract, and they only put 5 milligrams of it in there. I have to ask, is that just a gimmick? Are they just trying to season this capsule like a steak? Why put black pepper in a heart supplement?
I promise, it has absolutely nothing to do with flavor. Bioprene is actually the unsung hero of this entire formulation.
Really? Just black pepper?
Yes, because the fundamental and often ignored truth of human digestion is that it doesn't matter one bit what you swallow. It only matters what you actually absorb into your bloodstream.
Right, because stomach acid is pretty intense.
It is incredibly harsh. Digestive enzymes will just destroy a large percentage of botanical compounds before your body can ever even use them.
So you could be swallowing 500 milligrams of hawthorn, but maybe only 100 milligrams actually survives to reach your arteries.
That is exactly the risk with cheap supplements. But bioperine has been clinically proven in multiple studies to boost the bioavailability, the actual absorption rate of accompanying nutrients, by 20 to 30%.
Oh, wow. So it protects the other ingredients.
Basically, it temporarily modulates the metabolic enzymes in your liver and intestines, ensuring that the hawthorn, hibiscus, and olive leaf actually make it into your systemic circulation in meaningful amounts.
That is super clever. The review also mentions the inclusion of specific B vitamins, B6, B12, and folate. But it says they aren't there for energy. They're specifically included to target something called homocysteine levels.
Yes.
Now, I know high cholesterol is bad, but what on earth is homocysteine, and why is it lurking in a blood pressure review?
So homocysteine is an amino acid that your body naturally produces when it breaks down proteins. Like, say, when you eat a piece of meat. Think of it kind of like the exhaust smoke produced by a car engine.
Okay, exhaust smoke.
Normally, it's not a problem at all. But if homocysteine levels get too high, it becomes highly toxic. It actively degrades and inflames your arterial walls, which significantly increases cardiovascular risk.
And standard blood pressure meds just ignore this.
Often, yes, completely.
Yeah.
So the B vitamins in this formula act like a catalytic converter in your car. They effectively neutralize that toxic exhaust, converting the homocysteine back into harmless substances.
Okay, let's unpack this. The physiological theory we just walked through is incredibly sound. I mean, it attacks the problem from multiple angles. It relaxes muscles, protects vessel walls, flushes excess fluid, and ensures you actually absorb it all.
Right, it's a very solid theory.
But let's do a harsh reality check. How does this beautiful theory actually translate to real-world users? Like, what are the hidden catches that Apollo Research isn't shouting about on our homepage?
Well, on the positive side, the consumer protection is exceptionally strong.
Oh, yeah, the guarantee.
Exactly. The product comes with a 180-day money-back guarantee, and it's processed through a third-party platform called ClickBank, which just adds an ironclad layer of buyer security.
Yeah, giving a customer 6 full months to try a supplement and still get a refund, that's virtually unheard of.
Usually it's limited to 30 days in the health industry.
And in terms of pricing, you can buy a single bottle for $59. But if you commit to a 6-month bundle, the price drops down to about $39 a bottle.
Which is pretty reasonable.
But it's not all sunshine and perfect blood pressure readings, right? The review highlights some inconvenient realities.
It does.
First, accessibility. You can only buy this online through their official website. You can't just walk into a local pharmacy and pick it up.
And Amy Richards warns that if you do happen to see it on a major third-party marketplace, it's almost certainly an unauthorized reseller.
Which completely voids that 180-day guarantee.
Right, and it raises massive concerns about counterfeit products. You don't want to mess around with fake supplements.
Absolutely not. And we also have to address the physiological side effects.
Yes. While the botanical profile is generally very well tolerated, the review does note that some users experience minor gastrointestinal discomfort in the first week or two.
Just because your digestive system has to adjust to processing, concentrated garlic and herbal extracts.
Exactly. Additionally, because of those natural diuretics we talked about, like the juniper berries, you will likely find yourself needing to urinate more frequently.
Right, which is proof the fluid balancing mechanism is actively working. But I imagine it can be pretty disruptive if you aren't expecting it.
Definitely.
But wait, if the biology is so solid and the ingredients physically widen the blood vessels, why does the review mention users getting frustrated and quitting after a week?
Uh,
Because I've seen the marketing pages, and they have these testimonials of people claiming their blood pressure magically normalized in 3 days. But the actual science says you need 6 to 12 weeks of consistent use to see real, measurable changes.
right.
If it takes 3 months for the tissue to remodel, why are people claiming it works in 72 hours?
This raises an important question about the dangerous disconnect between internet marketing and human biology.
Hmm.
Those 3-day claims are marketing fabrications, plain and simple. Cellular repair, endothelial healing, systemic fluid balancing, all of that takes real time.
You might feel a slight energy boost in a few weeks just from the better circulation, right?
Sure, but the actual structural changes to your cardiovascular pressure, that requires months of consistency. Which brings us to what Amy Richards calls the overlooked factor in her review.
The system's problem.
Exactly. She points out this profound, undeniable truth. High blood pressure is not just a plumbing problem, it is a systems problem. Your blood pressure is simultaneously regulated by your kidneys, your nervous system, your endocrine system, and your cardiovascular system.
Meaning the blood vessels aren't just acting independently, they're reacting to what the rest of the body is doing.
Precisely. If your blood pressure is chronically high because you are trapped in a super stressful job, which is constantly flooding your nervous system with cortisol and adrenaline, forcing your vessels to constrict, a botanical supplement can only do so much to fight that hormonal cascade.
Right, or if your pressure is high because of severe insulin resistance from a terrible diet,
No.
the hawthorn and the garlic are just fighting this incredibly steep uphill battle.
The review uses a brilliant analogy for this. They say the supplement is the accelerator, but your daily lifestyle is the road.
Wow. Okay, I love that.
Right. If you take Cardio Shield every single morning, but you continue to eat a highly processed, high-sodium diet, sit at a desk for 10 hours a day, and sleep 4 hours a night.
You're basically driving a car with a fantastic accelerator, but you're on a road made of thick mud.
Exactly. The physiological effects of the botanicals will just be severely muted by your environment. The users who see the absolute best results are the ones who use the supplement in active partnership with moderate lifestyle changes.
Like incorporating a potassium-rich diet, walking daily, and actually managing their stress.
It's a partnership. It is not a magic wand that just absolves you of taking care of yourself.
So, to summarize our deep dive for you today, based on this very thorough 2026 Biopreneur review, Cardio Shield appears to be a legitimately well-formulated, transparent, multi-mechanism tool for borderline blood pressure support.
Yes, it targets vasodilation, it neutralizes oxidative stress, balances fluids, and tackles homocysteine levels.
And it's backed by a fantastic 180-day guarantee that actually gives your body the time it needs to adapt. But it requires your patience and a genuine partnership with a healthy lifestyle.
There is also one non-negotiable safety reminder from the source that we absolutely must echo.
Oh, yes.
If you're already taking prescription medications, especially antihypertensives or blood thinners like warfarin, you absolutely must consult your primary care doctor before adding this to your routine.
Because ingredients like hawthorn and garlic have real physical effects on your blood viscosity, right?
They do, and they will interact with those pharmaceutical prescriptions. You need a medical professional to ensure the combination is safe for your specific biology.
Never let an online discussion replace personalized medical advice from your doctor.
Exactly. But, looking at all this evidence, it actually leaves me with a final, completely different thought that builds on what we were just talking about with the whole systems problem.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Well, we talked about how homocysteine levels and stress hormones impact your pressure. If blood pressure is actually controlled by 4 different overlapping body systems, renal, nervous, endocrine, cardiovascular, maybe we need to stop viewing a high blood pressure reading as the disease itself.
Wait, if it's not the disease, then what is it?
What if that high number on the cuff is actually just the body's check engine light?
Oh, wow. A check engine light for entirely different systems.
Right. Like chronic stress or insulin resistance, it really challenges you to explore what else your body might be trying to tell you, well beyond just the health of your arteries.
That is a phenomenal question to leave on. Next time you see that number creeping up, maybe ask yourself what else your engine is trying to say. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.